Welcome to Flow. Let's get started. Today we'll start off lying down. Allow your eyes to close. Bring your legs out long and heavy in front of you. And just take these first few moments to come into your breath. Just find your breath in your body. And start to pull your knees into your chest. Wrap your hands around your shins. Take a very gentle rock from side to side. And then bring your hands behind your thighs and start to rock and roll yourself up. Take a few times here, rock and roll, and bring yourself up to sit and around to a tabletop all fours position. So your shoulders will come right over your wrists, your hips will come right over your knees. On an inhale, find a cow spine, arch through your spine, lift your chin and lift your gaze. And on your exhale, find a cat spine, press into the ground, bring your chin to your chest. And continue to move through these two postures. Move with breath. Inhale, arch through your spine, lift your chin. Exhale, cat spine, press into the ground. And we take this a couple more times, just starting to match breath with movement. And on your final cat spine or rounded spine, stay in the contraction and then press up onto the pads of your fingers. So you're really pressing down, you find a little bit of a lift there. Think of tucking through the pelvis, pulling the chin to the chest. Press your spine up towards the ceiling, and then slowly bring your palms back down. From your tabletop position, pull your right knee towards your right elbow, and then bring it back down. We're gonna take that 5 times total. So finding some early oblique activation. Keep your palms pressing down into the ground. And use your right oblique to pull your right knee to your right elbow. Try to keep your hips as still as possible. And after your 5th time, move to the opposite side. Pull your left knee to your left elbow, and then bring it back down to the mat. And as you're doing this, your hips will move just a teeny bit, but try to keep them as still as you can. And you'll start to feel activation through your left oblique. Pull your left knee to your left elbow or your left tricep. And after your 5th time, bring yourself back to your neutral tabletop, flip your toes under, lift your hips up, downward facing dog. Take a few moments in downward facing dog, spread your fingers, energize your heels down towards the ground. Breathe and lengthen behind the spaces of your legs into your hamstrings and calves. Start to ripple yourself forward to a high plank position, and then press yourself back up to downward facing dog. We're gonna take that a few more times. Ripple through your spine, roll forward, high plank, shoulders over wrists, and then press into your palms, downward facing dog. Really want to feel that rippling, undulating sensation through the spine. You can start to engage the core a lot more here. Pull your belly button in as you slide yourself forward, and bring your hips back up, downward facing dog. Continue to move this with your breath. And after your final one, hold your plank position. Now walk your hands so they come in front of your shoulders, so more of a hollow hold. This is a lot more challenging for the core. If you need to separate your feet, you can do that. We hold here for about 5 breaths. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Let your hands, your wrists be in front of your shoulders. This will engage the upper core more especially. Lengthen through the crown of your head, lengthen out of the back of your neck, and just breathe. And then slowly lower down onto your forearms. You can take it 1 elbow at a time. Now we're in a forearm plank. We're still activating through the core. Stay long through the back of the neck and press down actively into your palms and your forearms and your elbows. Almost like you could pull your elbows back towards your toes. Take a few more big breaths here and then gently lower your knees down to the ground. Move into a Sphinx pose. The forearms are in that same position. The palms are flat. And then from the Sphinx pose, start to move into a cat and cow variation. So for your contraction, press into your elbows, pull your belly up off the ground. Inhale, lower your belly down, lift your chest. And then exhale, find this deep contraction. We take this about 5 times total. Finding a little more fluidity, movement through the spine, a little more engagement through the core as well. Especially as you contract up, pull your chin to your chest and try to bring your belly off of the ground. Continually press down into your forearms and your elbows. And after your last one, bring yourself back to your Sphinx position. Lower your body all the way down. Bring hands underneath your shoulders. Send your hips back to child's pose. Take a few moments in child's pose. We're going to add a core element to your child's pose. Bring your hands so they come together and release your index finger. Try to keep your hips as close to your heels as you can. Try to keep your arms by your ears and bring yourself all the way up to sit with your hips on your heels. Now try to keep your biceps by your ears and pitch your body forward. Try to keep your hips on your heels. They're going to lift up a little bit, but try to keep them down. Lower your fingers down to the ground and then lift yourself back up. So this is very sneaky core work, but it is definitely happening. If your hips are lifting up off of your heels, it's no big deal, but you do want to think as much as you can to anchor your hips down onto your heels. Knit your rib cage together and pull your belly button in. Keep the biceps framing the face. And move this nice and slow. You don't have to worry about having a flat spine the entire time. As you release over, your spine will eventually round. But maintain the length through both sides of your waist, and there's activation in the core happening in both directions. We'll take about 2 more sets here. You really want to feel really corseted through your core. Feel your belly button pull back. Try to keep your hips heavy onto your heels. And then after your last one, bring yourself back up tall. Open your arms out to the side. And bring your hands back down in front of you. Move back to downward facing dog. Walk your feet forward to a forward fold. And then bend your knees a lot, and we're coming into a chair pose, a nice squatting position. Try to bring your feet together, send your hips back, reach your arms up, and breathe here. Now we're gonna take a little progression working into the core, but coming down to the ground. You can always use your hands if you need to. Lower your hips down to a Navasana boat pose. So your hips go down, pause here. Now start to round through your spine, roll yourself back, plant your feet down, come back to your chair. We're gonna continue that 4 more times. Feel free to bring your hands down to the ground at any time. You find your Navasana and pause there. Roll yourself back, press into your feet, stand up chair pose. A lot of core work happening here. Bend your knees a lot, pause in your boat pose, roll yourself back, press your feet down, chair pose is where you stay, squeeze the thighs together. Take this a few more times, maybe moving a little more fluidly, but stop at each posture. Make sure you're stopping at that boat pose. And again, if you need your hands at any point, go ahead and use your hands. Find that controlled roll back, stay in a chair. And then from here, move yourself to a half chair. So you're reaching your fingertips now straight in front of you and your hips are pulling back. Option to lift your heels up off the ground. It's a little more challenge. And then bring yourself all the way up to stand. You can lower your heels and find a little bit of a back bend. Lift your chest up to the ceiling. And then exhale to forward fold. Bend your knees a lot. Come all the way down to sit. And then from your sitting position, bring yourself all the way down onto your back. Last little bit of core work here. Reach your legs up into the air and then bring your legs behind your head into a plow pose. Now we're gonna roll through your spine, lower your hips down. And then try to lower your legs so your ankles are hovering. Now bend through your knees and lift your hips back up again into a plow pose. So a few different variations of this. We're gonna keep moving through it. You can lower your hips, extend your legs. You can always have a bend with your knees. You can break through your knees to come back up, or you can keep your legs straight and lift your hips up off the ground back to your plow pose. And keep moving between these two nice and slow. The slower you go, the more controlled it is. Pull the belly button back, lift your hips up off the ground, use your hands to help you. Gradually roll down the spine, lower your feet. And take this a few more times, finding activation in the core, press down into your palms. Lower with control, lower your ankles. And then bring it back through, lift your hips up. And this will be our final go around here. So come down through your spine, lower your ankles, use your core, lift your legs, bring yourself up, and then hold in your plow pose. You can keep your legs straight or you can bend your knees, whichever feels better. Give yourself just a few moments here. Feel that nice stretch through your lower back. Breathe into your belly. And then slowly, with control, start to release yourself all the way down to lie on your back. Stretch your legs out long and heavy in front of you. Bring your arms to your side. You can let your eyes close or find a soft gaze and just take these final few moments to come back into your breath. Allow your breath to become longer in each direction. As you breathe in, you feel your belly and your chest expand. And with every exhale, allow your body to sink a little heavier onto the mat. Thank you for joining us today. And that's your flow.